Good day and welcome to My Bible and I. This is where we look at a chapter in the Bible each and every day. We read it and we share our findings in the chapter. This is also linked to our Bible club, so do join the Bible club, and that's where more interactive discussions will be continuing. Today we are currently reading the book Joshua 11. I read in the New King James Version. I start by reading and then share my interpretation of the book. Before I go any further, let's close our eyes with a word of prayer. Gracious Father in heaven, Lord, we thank you for this moment. We thank you for the guidance and the teaching that you grant to us on a day-to-day basis, Lord. As we receive from your word, help it to make a difference in our lives and help it to transform us to become better people. All this humbly ask in your mighty name, Lord. Amen. Okay, so Joshua chapter 11, it reads as follows. And it came to pass when Jabin king of Hazor heard these things, that he sent to Jobab king of Medon, to the king of Shimron, to the king of Akshaph, and to the kings who were from the north, and in the mountains, and in the plain south of Shinneroth, in the lowland, and in the heights of Dor on the west, to the Canaanites in the east and in the west, the Amorite, the Hittite, the Perizzite, the Jebusite in the mountains, and the Hivite below Hermon in the land of Mizpah. So they went out, they and all their armies with them, as many people as sand that is on the seashore in multitude, with very many horses and chariots. And when all these kings had met together, they came and camped together at the waters of Meron to fight against Israel. But the Lord said to Joshua, do not be afraid because of them, for tomorrow about this time I will deliver all of them slain before Israel. You shall hamstring their horses and burn their chariots with fire. So Joshua and all the people of war with him came against them suddenly by the waters of Meron, and they attacked them. And the Lord delivered them into the hand of Israel, who defeated them and chased them to Greater Sidon, to the brook Misrephoth, and to the valley of Mizpah eastward. They attacked them until they left none of them remaining. So Joshua did to them as the Lord had told him. He hamstrung their horses and burned their chariots with fire. Joshua turned back at that time and took Hazor and struck its king with the sword, for Hazor was formerly the head of all those kingdoms, and they struck all the people who were in it with the edge of the sword, utterly destroying them. There was none left breathing. Then he burnt Hazor with fire. So all the cities of those kings and all their kings Joshua took and struck with the edge of the sword. He utterly destroyed them, as Moses the servant of the Lord had commanded. But as for the cities that stood on their mounds, Israel burned none of them except Hazor, only which Joshua burned. And all the spoil of these cities and the livestock the children of Israel took as booty for themselves. But they struck every man with the edge of the sword until they had destroyed them, and they left none breathing. As the Lord had commanded Moses his servant, so Moses commanded Joshua, and so Joshua did. He left nothing undone of all that the Lord had commanded Moses. Thus Joshua took all this land, the mountain country, all the south, all the land of Goshen, the lowland and the Jordan plain, the mountains of Israel and its lowlands, from the Mount Halak and the ascent to Seir, even as far as Baal-gad in the valley of Lebanon, below Mount Hermon. He captured all their kings and struck them down and killed them. Joshua made war a long time with all those kings. There was not a city that made peace with the children of Israel except the Hivites, the inhabitants of Gibeon. All the others they took in battle, for it was of the Lord to harden their hearts, that they should come against Israel in battle, that he might utterly destroy them, and that they might receive no mercy, but that he might destroy them as the Lord had commanded Moses. And at that time Joshua came and cut off the Anakim from the mountains, from Hebron, from Debir, from Anab, from all the mountains of Judah, and from all the mountains of Israel. Joshua utterly destroyed them with their cities. None of their Anakim were left in the land of the children of Israel. They remained only in Gaza, in Gath, and in Ashdod. So Joshua took the whole land according to all that the Lord had said to Moses, and Joshua gave it as an inheritance to Israel, according to their divisions by their tribes. Then the land rested from war. May the Lord add a blessing to his word, now and forevermore. Amen. All right, now this is a wonderful message. Okay, there's a lot going on in the section. I'll actually highlight some of the points that stood out for me. Okay, I'm seeing here, we start off here, Joshua, in fact the Israelites, they came from war in chapter 10, and in chapter 11, honestly, we don't really see them preparing for war, but instead we see how these nations around them come in numbers. Okay, they came as there were as many as the sand on the seashore in numbers, and they came with chariots and horses. Okay, they're well prepared for battle. They came to attack the Israelites first. The Israelites were minding their own business, not preparing for any war, but these people came to attack them first. And you know what happens? Even though these people have got they have the upper hand advantage. They've got the numbers, they've got the resources, they've got the strength. They are mentally prepared. Who knows? Maybe they've been resting before and the Israelites just came from battle. However, we see how God uses the situation to highlight that, you know what, when it comes to attacking my children, you are attacking me. And so I don't work with numbers. I don't work with who has the advantage. I am God. And so God literally takes this up as an opportunity to justify, himself as God, and to show that he is the greater king among the entire lands. And so these people here come and they're all prepared to attack. Little do they know that the God of Israel is much bigger than whatever horses, whatever numbers they have, whatever mental preparedness they have, whatever amount of training they have. The God of Israel is so much bigger and so much stronger. This is the same God that we have when our enemies come. When our enemies come to attack us, sometimes God will allow them to come only to show just how great he is in our life. God will never send something our way unless he knows that we have the ability to handle it, the strength to overcome. He already equips us with before he sends any form of challenge our way. So here, we're already learning to not be intimidated. Do not be intimidated by numbers. Do not be intimidated by hate speech. Do not be intimidated by horses and chariots. Whatever the enemy brings your way, know that the God that you serve is greater than whatever it is that they can try and bring your way. Another thing I'm seeing here is that even though Joshua, he's a man of war, he knows what a large army of men wanting to attack means. And he knows the one thing that stood out about Joshua is he was a person of strength, right? He was a person of courage. But so many times we see God saying, do not be afraid. He constantly reminds him. If Joshua needed that kind of a support and reminder, how much more do we need of such? And it is highly imperative that at each and every step of the way, let us remind ourselves of, the strength that God has given us. Let us share testimonies. Let us read our Bible, reconnect with the Bible, such that we are filled with the strength and we know that no matter what happens, we have that belief in our mind that we are stronger. So God reminds him and says, you know what, Joshua, do not be afraid. I got this as God, okay? God always got your back at each and every step of the way. And sometimes he will make it an effort to make sure that you are reminded that he's got your back. And so I'm already learning here that sometimes, in fact, all of the time, I need to be reconnected. I need to rekindle the courage, rekindle the strength, and make me believe that it's still there in abundance. So Joshua here is reminded that do not be afraid. And the Lord delivered all of them. The Lord did all the work. You see, the Israelites did not have many chariots. They did not have horses. They were few in numbers. They were probably tired from war still. And God did all the work himself. This is to show even the Israelites that, God does not rely on the strength that we have. He gives us the strength, but he can perform great things through us because of the strength, the greater strength that he has as God. And he needs us to be obedient. He needs us to be his faithful vessel so he can work through us to accomplish great things in the world. And so all of this happened, and all the Israelites were able to conquer all of these kings and armies until none was remaining. Can you imagine how much strength was required to do that? And yet the Israelites, in their tired state, are able to defeat all of them and ensure that none of them are remaining, because God is the one giving them the strength. Never underestimate the strength that God will give you. Never underestimate the strength that God has already given you. When he brings that challenge, the strength is already there for you to utilize, to overcome whatever challenge comes your way. And so, we read here of how the Israelites attacked now all of them. There was none remaining, and one king was now used. He was now specifically destroyed because he was a stubborn king. And we see that the other ones were also hardened in heart by God. It is such a pity. It is such a detrimental state to be hardened of mind. Let us be those who can still repent. Let us be those who can still listen and learn from our experiences. When God teaches us, when God prunes us in our life, let us be those who are willing to learn from what God is saying to us. Let our hearts not be hardened. Okay, I like the last part as well. When all of this was said and done, then the land rested from war. There comes a time when we as God's children are able to rest from the troubles and the trials of this world, when God fights till the very last battle is won. And so let us cling on to God, believe that nothing needs to intimidate us, and anything that comes, if it is bigger than us, it is meant for God, and God will get it done. Okay, let us have faith in him, let us believe in him, let us be obedient to following his word. And that's the message that I learned from this chapter. Okay, I really was intrigued by this chapter. What did you learn from this chapter? Do share your contributions, do share your experiences of this chapter, and we meet again in chapter 12.